The guild originally was set up by C.R. Ashby in 1888 in London. He started to look for somewhere to move to in the countryside. There was this old silk mill which he went and looked at and decided that this was his ideal spot. So in May 1902 they moved lock, stock and barrel from London to Chipping Campden. Ashby's main interest was country life, and his ethos of coming to the Cotswolds was that they could enjoy the countryside and get influence in their designing. It was supposed to be an enjoyable time as well as a working time for the men. The local vicar used to have a boys' club which Grandad went to, and he got them interested in making crafts, and they put on an exhibition. Mr. Ashby saw what Grandad had been doing and invited him to join his guild. By 1908 Ashby had to go into voluntary liquidation. 2 or 3 of each of the craftsmen took on their own workshops, and Grandad decided to take on the Silversmiths shop. And then the father and his brother joined in the late 20s. Dad worked here all his life. I started in 1956 and I've worked here now all my life, and I've got my son, my nephew and Derek, who's my apprentice back in the 80s, working with us.
I guess it's quite nice to be part of something unique where my great-grandfather passed his skills on to my grandfather, who passed them on to my father, who's passed them on to me. So it's strange to think that 90 years ago my great-grandfather would have been using the same tools, and I'm sort of trying to follow in his footsteps really. These are 2 handles for a mirror, so what I'm doing now is what's called repoussé work. You can use these little tools to make an impression on the silver, and the silver just gives enough so you can get sort of a 3D effect. And I'm actually making a copy of this hand mirror which my great-grandfather made my great-grandmother when they were married. And the customer's seen this and loves it, so I'm going to make another one.
People come to us that have been coming here for a couple of generations even, and some say, well, the first piece we had was when your great-grandfather was here, and met him when I was a young lad. Most of what we make these days tends to be more domestic silverware, so I guess the nature of the type of work changes, but not the way we do it. If it's something special, you've got to go back to doing it by hand, and that's what's always safeguarded us, if you like. And they'd rather have something that's made to last.
Simple bowls have been made since the early days of silver. You've got 4 stages, marking the circle out in the sheet of silver, the raising, which is beating it into shape. 3rd stage is the planishing to get it all nice and true in the round, and then the final stage is then polishing the finished piece. Machine-made things, when it's spun or pressed out, is all smooth and it looks like a mirror. Our way, with the little fine beaten hammer marks that we leave on, makes it come to life and flicker more when you look at it.
It's almost come full circle back to what it was in Ashby's day in the arts and crafts. They want something that's not off the shelf, and they'd rather have something that's made to last.
Feel free to wander around. There are customers that come that want pieces in the style of Ashby or even copies, because the original Ashby pieces nowadays are making money. Now, if we can make the same thing, people are quite happy to buy a replica at that than try and get the original, which is out of most people's reach.
The range of things that we make, from designing specifically to suit a customer, you'll get other customers come in and they want original designs that we would have been making 100 years ago. I mean, this decanters we're just doing, I mean, this one's going to be designed in about the 1880s, 1890s, I think. And it's literally a straight copy of one that would have been made here in the early days. We get people come in and they say, I'd like a reproduction of it made in the same workshop with the same tools. And we've actually got a copy in the design from the workshop as he penned it originally, and I'd like to think we've got it pretty close to the original.
Grandad said that he didn't think we'd ever keep it going because Dad and I had not really got the design skill that Grandfather, and I must admit his old drawings are brilliant. He used to spend hours doing his designs. The archive's collection of drawing consists of nearly 5,000 altogether, going back right from the early 1900s through to the present day. And eventually probably some of Derrick's and Julian's and William's drawings will be put into the collection eventually.
Designing is the difficult part. We just bend metal in here, I mean that's what we do, but you've got to get it right in the first place. I was nearly 19 when I started. Finished school on the Friday, started work Monday. Literally at the bench I learnt from David and his dad.
Whatever we've done in this workshop has always been popular, it's always been enough to keep going. A lot of the other workshops, when Ashby left, tried to carry on and there just wasn't a demand for it. We're the only ones left now, but we've always had enough interest and enough people coming commissioning things that we can carry on. I mean, if no one came and commissioned, then it would die out. There's only two ways of making silver. You either go for mass production or you go doing it by hand. This way is the way we prefer to do it, and it's bespoke one-off bits which really keep people busy nowadays.
This is the finished piece. We've soldered a silver wire on the top just to make it stronger. Once that's done, it's sent to be hallmarked and then finally polished up so you get the finished article looking like this.
As long as people keep coming and ordering, we can keep making things.
If no one came and commissioned, then it would die out, but hopefully that will never happen. Me and Julian will keep going for the next 20, 30 years, and Julian's just had a baby boy, so he might be interested.
I mean, when we're long gone, people will be saying, oh, this was made by this guy in this rickety old workshop in Chipping Camden 100 years ago, and what we're doing now will become the family heirlooms of the future.